All right, welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about SQB1, which is our new, or it's the first lesson of a new unit for us. And today SQB1 is all about using something we call the discriminant. Now, before we're going to be able to use the discriminant, we're going to have to know what the discriminant is. So it says for a quadratic equation. Now remember, a quadratic equation is any equation that falls into this form, where we have one of the variables squared, the other variable raised to the first power, and then just a constant term that we call c. This is what we've kind of been factoring and working with the last couple of weeks. So for a quadratic equation that's formatted in that fashion, the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Now, b, of course, comes from right here, and the a and the c come from right there. So we're going to be using the numbers in the formula to figure out this discriminant. Now, the reason we care so much about the discriminant is because the discriminant is going to tell us how many solutions we need to find for each equation. So if the discriminant ends up being positive, right? So if the discriminant is a positive number, then what we know is that our equation is going to have two solutions. If the discriminant is equal to 0, then we actually have one solution, which is kind of a little strange because 0 and 1, but it makes sense later on a little bit more. And finally, if the discriminant ends up being a negative value, then we are going to have 0 solutions or no solutions. All right, so let's take a look at a problem. As always, I will do the odds and you're going to do the evens for your homework assignment. So looking at problem number 1, we're being asked to calculate the discriminant and to tell what it means about the number of solutions. So in this situation, in order for us to find our discriminant, we got to use our discriminant formula. That is b squared minus 4ac. b in this problem is the number that's in front of the x. So it's negative 5. Now we're going to be careful and put parentheses around that because when we square that, that's the easiest one to get wrong. And then we're going to have minus 4 parentheses for the a, parentheses for the c. So 2 is the a value and negative 6 is the c value. Now once we've gotten to this point, we just need to go through and evaluate. Now officially you could either do this by hand or, as I like to do it, I like to just have kids use a calculator on this because it is actually really easy to make mistakes here. Now you want to type this in exactly like you see on your calculator. So negative 5 to the second power minus 4 parenthesis 2, parenthesis negative 6. And if you type it in just like that and hit enter, you should get an answer of 73. Now, I really do want you to pause the video right now, punch that in, and make sure you can get an answer of 73 because that's going to be so important to making sure we're getting right answers. Now, once we get 73, here's what we should notice about that. 73 is a positive number, and according to our list up top, if the discriminant is positive, we are going to get 2 solutions. So, coming over here, they asked us to tell how many solutions, so this one will have 2 solutions. Nice job. Let's look at another one. So, problem number 3. So again, here is your a, here is your b, here is your c. So our formula is b squared minus 4ac. So in this situation, our b value is negative 6. So we're going to say minus 4. Our a value is 3. And our c value is 7. Now again, I like to just use a calculator on this. You could actually grind this out by hand. But it is going to be very easy to make mistakes. So negative 6 to the second power minus 4 times 3 times 7. And notice I'm just using parentheses there. And when I hit enter, I get negative 48. Now, negative 48, of course, is a negative number, so we go back up to our list to see what happens if it's negative. If it is negative, according to what we said earlier, that is when we are going to get 0 solutions. So since it's negative, we get 0 solutions. So we're going to say 0 solutions. Nice job. Now, looking down here at problem number 5. When we get to this problem, one thing you want to notice is this is not in the form that we were given up above. Notice when we do this, how we need to be equal to 0 over here. we're not equal to 0 in this problem. So what we're going to have to do is mathematically rearrange it. So let's move the 4x over to the other side using subtraction. So I'm going to end up with 2x to the second power, and then I'm going to slide that negative 4x in the middle, and then I'll have my plus 3, and then 4x take away 4x is 0 on the other side. Now we are ready to use the discriminant formula. So again, a, b, and c. We need b squared, so negative 4 squared minus 4 times a times c. All right, b squared minus 4ac. So, punching that in on our calculator, let's see what we get. Negative 4 squared, and those are probably the most important parentheses, by the way, even though they might not seem like it, minus 4 times 2 times 3. And we get negative 8. Now again, remember when we got a negative number, that means we get no solutions or 0 solutions. Let's look at problem number 7. Now problem number 7, we can see that it's already set up and equal to 0. But the issue here is that we're missing our b term, right? Because this is a, and the number is just c, so we're missing the b. So we're going to rewrite it in a way that we can incorporate the b term back in here. So we'll have negative 3x squared plus 0x. That gives us a b term. It's just 0, which is what's really happening here. Plus 8 equals 0. Right? 0x doesn't actually change anything here. So now, b squared minus 4ac. Our b value is 0, so I'm going to have 0 squared minus 4 times a, which is negative 3, times c, which is positive 8. So, 0 to the second power, using parentheses, just like we have it written, minus 4, parenthesis, negative 3, parenthesis, 8. And we get 96. Now, 96 is, again, positive, so that means we are going to get 2 solutions. Nice job. Let's look at problem number 9. Definitely looks like the hardest one at this point. Now, notice how we're not equal to 0 right now. So we're going to have to make it equal to 0 in order to be able to solve this. Now, there's kind of two approaches. You can either move everything over to the left side, or you can move everything over to the right side. It doesn't matter which one you choose to do. So I'm going to move everything over to the right side because I would only have to move 2 things versus moving 3 things. So a little bit less work. So I'm going to subtract 8x squared on both sides. And I'm going to subtract 9 on both sides because that will make these cancel off and we'll be left equal to 0 over there. Now 4x squared, take away 8x squared, will be a minus 4x squared. The minus 4x drops down. 8 take away 9 is a minus 1. Now, we are equal to 0. Everything's a little reversed, but that's okay. So this is A, this is B, this is C. And of course, we're using the discriminant formula. So B squared minus 4 times A times C. Our B in this problem is negative 4. So we're going to use our parentheses, square it, minus 4 times A. A was also negative 4 times C, which was negative 1. Now, a lot of negatives in there, so we want to be careful we enter this all in right. Negative 4 to the second power minus 4 times negative 4 times negative 1. And when you do that, we get 0 out as an answer, and 0 means that we will get 1 solution. And that we can see up here on our list as well. So if we get an answer of 0, we get 1 solution. It's kind of that middle one. Now, if you don't have a calculator to sit there and punch this all out, I just want to show you can do this by hand, but you just got to be really careful. So, obviously, negative 4 squared just means negative 4 times negative 4, and that's going to give us a positive 16. Now, over here, I just like to leave this negative sign for a second, and I just like to multiply all of this out together. So 4 times negative 4 times negative 1 gives us a positive 16, so it's going to be minus 16 because this negative was still sitting right there. So 16 take away 16 is 0, which means we get to the same answer, but we just had to do a little bit more work. And on this one, it was relatively easy. On other ones, it could be harder. All right, let's look at the last type of problem that we have. So questions 11, 12, and 13 stretch us a little bit further. What happens in this problem is that we are given a quadratic equation, but we are missing the c value. We don't know the c value. And what we're being asked to do is we're being asked to pick a c value that will give us 2 solutions, 1 solution, and no solution. So here's how we're going to do it. So when we come over here, we know that we get 2 solutions whenever we have a positive answer out of the discriminant, right? So first let's write our formula. So our discriminant formula, b squared minus 4ac. Now, if b squared minus 4ac, if that equals any positive number, we are going to get 2 solutions. So let's make it equal a positive number. You get to pick whichever positive number you want. I think I'm going to pick, let's pick 4. I don't know why I picked 4, I just like it. But it's positive, so this should work. Any one should work. Now, let's plug in our numbers. So our b in this problem was -2. So I'm going to have a -2 squared minus 4 times my a value, which was 1, times my c value, which we don't know. So we're just going to call it c for a second. Now let's go through and simplify. So -2 squared, -2 times -2 is a positive 4. So we're going to have 4 minus, now this is just 4 times 1, which is of course 4, but we can't forget the c is still hooked on there, and this is equal to 4. Now as we continue on trying to solve this, let's subtract 4 from both sides. We're trying to get c alone right now. So we'll have -4c is equal to 0 in this situation. And then if we divide by -4, we'll get c equals 0. So if c was equal to 0, then we would be guaranteed to have 2 solutions, because when c equals 0, our discriminant ends up being equal to a positive 4, and we're ready to roll. Let's do that again now, but now we're going to do it for 1 solution. So remember, for 1 solution, the discriminant needs to end up being equal to 0. So we want to set up our discriminant formula, b squared minus 4 times ac, and this time we want to say equals 0. That's the only way we get 1 solution, is if it equals 0. Now we want to plug in our values. So b was -2, so we'll have a -2 squared minus 4 times a, which was 1, times c, which we don't know what that is yet. That's what we're trying to find. So -2 squared is a positive 4. 4 times 1 is just 4, so this would be -4c is equal to 0. Subtract 4 from both sides. We get -4c is equal to a -4, and divide by -4 on both sides, and we find out c is equal to a positive 1. Nice job. So when c equals 1, our discriminant ends up being equal to 0, and that's what's going to give us 1 solution. Cool. Now for the last one, no solution. Remember, this happens if my discriminant is equal to a negative number. So b squared minus 4ac equals any negative number. You get to pick the negative number. I'm going to pick -10. Why? I felt like it. Now when we plug in -2 squared minus 4 times a, which was 1, times c, which we don't know. That's what we want to find. So, coming over here, -2 times -2, that's a positive 4. -4 times 1 is a -4. C, of course, because that's still hooked on, is equal to -10. Now, coming over here, let's subtract 4 from both sides. So we get a -4c is equal to -14. And then last but not least, we're going to divide, because that's going to get c alone. So these two pieces will cancel off, and we'll be left with c equals -14 divided by a -4. Well, 2 negatives obviously make a positive, and 14 over 4 becomes 7 over 2, so c is equal to 7 over 2. So if c is equal to 7 over 2, That's going to ensure that we're equal to a negative number, which means we will get no solutions. Right? So it all depends on the number you pick. If you want 2 solutions, you make it positive. You pick a positive number. If you want 1 solution, you pick 0. And if you want no solution, you pick a negative number. And it doesn't matter which one, you just go through the work to solve. I think I'm going to stop the video there, and I'll save the other 2 for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Have a nice day.